Barakatah Yahweh, Ba'Hashem Yahushai, Ba'Hashem Rucha HaKodash. This lesson is going to be a brief lesson explaining the Passover. Brothers that want an in-depth breakdown of the Passover, you can read Exodus the 12th chapter. And there's, videos that the apostles and elders have done. This particular one is on GMS Info Doc Channel 11. It's dated March 7th, 2017. So this was last year. And then this is on GMS Info Doc Channel 11. And then this one here, the Passover, various topics, is on GMS Info Doc Channel 12. This was more recent, January 18th. It's like January 18th, 2018. So if you want a little more in depth, you could either watch those or, like I said, read Exodus the 12th chapter, the whole chapter. And I'm sure there's other videos that other apostles and elders have done that go into it. But just to summarize it, the Passover, the word Passover means to pass over. And the reason why it was called that, when you go back into the land of Egypt, we were slaves in the land of Egypt for 400 years. And altogether, we were in the land of Egypt for 430 years. And this is a big controversy now where these people are saying that the year 2019 or 2020 is going to mark the 400th year of us in slavery in America, and that's when we're going to get out of here and all this, that, and the other. That's not the case, because that's the 400 years that was spoken of in the book of Genesis, the 15th chapter, which was a vision that the Lord gave to Abraham. That was dealing with the 400 years of captivity and slavery in the land of Egypt. And as you read further down in that Genesis the 15th chapter, it tells you that the reason why the Lord couldn't do it during Abraham's time was because the iniquity of the Amorites wasn't yet full. Now the Amorites are those Hamites, Canaanites, and all the other parasites and Hivites and all those that were in those lands that had to fulfill their wickedness before the Lord could finally take them out of there. Okay, so this is Exodus 12 and 40. It says, now the sojourning of the children of Israel who dwelt in Egypt was 430 years. So we dwelt in Egypt for 430 years, but we were captives in Egypt for 400 years because our forefather Joseph was in that land. He was brought there as a slave, and he built himself, the Lord built him up to be a ruler over Egypt, because the Lord knew that there was going to be a famine that was going to come down the road, and the Lord used Joseph to preserve our forefathers, beginning with Jacob and the other patriarchs. Okay, so while in Egypt, the captivity was rough, because the scriptures speak about it being a furnace of affliction, I believe it was, or iron furnace. It was an iron furnace, meaning the work was rigorous. The pain and the oppression. Iron furnace. Okay, it's furnace. I spelled it wrong, Salakia. So it was very rigorous. So the children of Israel prayed to the Lord to be able to be delivered. Deuteronomy 4:20, but the Lord Yahweh hath taken you and brought you forth out of the iron furnace, even out of Egypt, to be unto him a people of inheritance, as you are this day. So pretty much that was a fiery furnace, and it was very devastating, and it was a very hard captivity. So when the children of Israel cried to the Lord said he heard us, crying unto him. So he set up Moses to go and speak to Pharaoh to release us from captivity, from bondage. But the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart because he knew that Pharaoh wasn't just going to let Israel go like that. So the Lord hardened his heart. And so what the Lord did was he did many signs and miracles and brought 10 plagues upon the nation of Egypt at the time. I believe that was Exodus 4. And what happened was that the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart so that he wouldn't let Israel go, so that the Lord can show all these signs and miracles upon them to destroy them and to show the power of the Lord. And the 10 plagues were all different manner of plagues, turning water into blood, locusts, lice, hail mingled with fire, and the last plague, the 10th plague, was the destruction or the killing of all the firstborn in Egypt. Okay, Exodus 4:21. And the Lord said unto Moses, when thou goest to return into Egypt, see that thou do all those wonders before Pharaoh, which I have put in thine hand, but I will harden his heart, that he shall not let the people go. And thou shalt say unto Pharaoh, thus saith the Lord, Israel is my son, even my firstborn. And I say unto thee, let my son go, that they may serve me. And if thou refuse to let him go, behold, I will slay thy son, even thy firstborn. So this was after the 9th plague. This is the very last plague that the Lord was about to bring upon the Egyptians. And this is just before the Lord was about to allow Pharaoh to release us from his clutches. So what happened was, the very night, the first month, matter of fact, the first month, and on the 14th day of the month, which is the Passover, and it is also the beginning of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, are one and the same. That's when the Lord gave the command to Moses, actually prior to that, but that was the night where we were supposed to slay the lambs, every family according as they were able to eat. And the blood that was drained out of these sacrificial lambs was to be put on the doorposts and on the lintels, meaning on the front where your door was. Let me just type that in. Door posts images. Let's see what comes up. Trying to see if I can get a close-up of an actual door. Let's just see front door. Front door. Okay. This is a good one here. So this is the post, and these are, I believe this is the lintel, and these are the posts, the 2 posts. So the Lord said to strike all of this with the blood of that sacrificial lamb, so that when the angel of death came through there to destroy the firstborn of all the Egyptians, whether it was the Egyptians themselves, their servants, or their cattle. So we had to put the blood here, and when the angel, which is Yahushai, that was Yahushai, saw that blood over this door, he would not touch any of the firstborn of this particular house. So everywhere where Israel was at, and every house, they had that put over, the doors, doorposts, and the lintel. Every house that Israel was at, they kept doing that, because if not, there would have been a death in that home. So after that, they put the door over the blood over the door. They all ate the Passover that evening with the lamb, bitter herbs, and they had unleavened bread, and the bitter herbs represented that hard captivity that we served under the Egyptians. And that very night after this Passover, Yahushai came through and slayed all the firstborns of the Egyptians, and they were all crying They were all in bitterness. And Pharaoh urged Israel, Moses and the Israelites, to leave and flee and go and sacrifice to their power. And when we did that, we got the hell out of Dodge, so to speak. Then we moved on, went into the wilderness, and from that point on, we had to keep this particular feast as a memorial of our captivity, as a memorial of our deliverance from the land of Egypt. And this is something that was supposed to be done throughout all of our generations, as you read through the book of Exodus, the 12th chapter. All right. Like I said, if you go to these two videos, the Passover, Solemn Days, Various Topics, GMS Info Doc channel. I haven't watched this one. This is a year ago. I recently did this one, the Passover, Various Topics. It goes into, the particulars, because there's a lot to go into. So you will have to actually sit down and read the history and to get it. Okay. So you would see it says, and they shall take of, it says, and you shall keep it, Exodus 12:6, and you shall keep it up until the 14th day of the same month. That's a lamb without blemish, without spot, of the first year. And the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening. And they shall take of the blood and strike it on the two side posts and on the upper door posts of the houses wherein they shall eat it. See, so you were supposed to strike the two side posts and the upper door posts of the houses wherein they shall eat it. And they shall eat the flesh in that night, roast with fire and unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs they shall eat it. Eat not of it raw, nor sodden at all with water, but roast with fire his heads with his leg and with the pertinence thereof. Because back then we would roast the whole lamb. Today, if brothers have the means to do it, so be it. But we don't have the means to do that, so we have to, buy and cook the lamb, whatever we are able to get. We're in captivity. The scripture say we shall eat our bread defiled among the Gentiles. It says, and you shall let none of it remain until the morning, and that which remaineth of it until the morning you shall burn with fire. And thus shall you eat it with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staffs in your hand. Not no damn lamb dinner, sitting there, I mean, you can eat with fork and knife if you want, but really this was something that was done in haste, because that night was a night where we had to hurry up and eat it. That's why the women weren't able to put leaven into the bread to let it rise, because it takes time. Everything was done in haste. It was even eaten in haste, because we had to run up out of there. After we ate, we had to pretty much run up out of there. And you shall eat it in haste. It is the Lord's Passover. For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast. And against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgment. I am the Lord. And the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where you are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you, and the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you, when I smite the land of Egypt. And this day shall be unto you for a memorial, meaning a remembrance. And you shall keep it a feast to the Lord throughout your generations. You shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever. Okay? 7 days shall you eat unleavened bread. So the first night of the Passover, which is the first night of the unleavened bread, that's when you will eat. You will not eat leaven. You will just eat unleavened bread. I mean, we normally eat tortillas, those tortillas that Issachar makes, which are usually unleavened. Just make sure you check the package for the ingredients. And it would be 7 days. So the 14th night at evening, which is the beginning of the 15th day, that's when you will start eating unleavened bread, all the way to the 21st day. So 7 days you would not eat unleavened bread. At the end of the 7th day, that's when you will start eating leaven again. Okay? So let's see. Let me see if I could pull up a calendar real quick. Calendar. So let's say, let's say we eating the Passover in February, for instance, and let's say it falls on February 14th at evening. This would be the actual first day. This night would be, which is the beginning of the 15th day, would be the first day of unleavened bread. So it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the 21st day at evening, when the sun went down, that's when you were able to start eating unleavened bread, because you kept it 7 days. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So once this day was done and the sun went down, that's when you were able to eat the unleavened bread again. So 7 days the unleavened bread was supposed to be eaten. Okay, even the first day shall you put away leaven out of your houses, and if you have any leaven inside of your house, anything with yeast, any types of bread, cookies and stuff like that, you have to get it all out of your house. You know, I know things are tough, so brothers that have stuff like that, you can keep it in your car, or you can keep it somewhere outside of your house, because I know brothers ain't really got the dough like that to throw the stuff out. So you could just keep it in your car, or keep it, if you have a storage somewhere, you could keep it there, until the 7 days are up. For whosoever eateth leavened bread from the first day unto the 7th day, that soul shall be cut off from Israel. And in the first day there shall be a holy convocation, and the 7th day there shall be a holy convocation to you. No manner of work shall be done in them, save that which every man must eat, that only may be done of you. And you shall observe the feast of unleavened bread, for in this selfsame day have I brought your armies out of the land of Egypt. Therefore shall you observe this day in your generations by an ordinance forever. In the first month of the 14th day of the month at evening, you shall eat unleavened bread until the 21st day of the month at even. 7 days shall there be no leaven found in your houses, for whosoever eateth that which is leavened, even that soul shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel, whether he be stranger or born in the land. You shall eat nothing leavened, in all your habitations shall you eat unleavened bread. And pretty much, we're supposed to keep this to all generations. And you shall observe this thing for an ordinance to thee and to thy sons forever. So pretty much we were supposed to keep this, and we still keep it to this very day. Now, the thing that's going to overshadow the Passover out of Egypt is this new Passover that's going to come, which is in the land of so-called America, which is the second deliverance. And it's no coincidence that America is spiritually called Egypt. Okay, this is the book of Jeremiah 16 and 14. It says, Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that it shall no more be said, the Lord liveth, that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt, because we still celebrate that to this day. That's a memorial. Every time we keep the Passover as a memorial of the Lord delivering us from Egypt. And now, even more significant, is we keeping the Passover also for the great sacrifice that Yahushua made for us. That's why it's even more of more significance. But the original Passover we keep is the deliverance out of Egypt. So there's going to come a day where it's not going to be said that the Lord delivered the nation of Israel out of the land of Egypt. It says, but the Lord liveth, that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north. And there is no captivity that we went into that outshined the Passover and the deliverance from Egypt. So this land of the north is talking about North America, and the great deliverance out of the new Egypt, or the spiritual Egypt, which is Babylon the Great, which is America. So when that time comes and the Lord delivers us out of here, it's going to overshadow the Passover and the deliverance of Egypt, because it's going to be much more spectacular than the deliverance that happened during the time of Egypt. So it says, so we're not gonna Passover in the past is gonna be lessened, and this Passover is gonna be more. And in this Passover, we have a lamb, which is Yahushua, and his blood, and the doors, the upper posts and the side posts of the doors is our mind, our spirit, And if we have that blood in our mind and our spirit, when the Lord comes, he's going to deliver us and not suffer destruction to come upon us. Matter of fact, when you look up that word Passover here, I read something. The word is Pesach in the Hebrew. This is from H6453. Passover, sacrifice of Passover, animal victim of the Passover, festival of the Passover. Right here. an example, exemption. Okay, so this is an exemption. It says a sparing, immunity from penalty and calamity. So pretty much the blood of Yahweh Shai is the Thawa, which is a Hebrew word for mark, that is going to exempt us from judgment if we happen to be those elect. That's what we say we're the hopeful elect. Ezekiel 9:4. And the Lord said unto him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. Now this mark here is a totally different mark than the mark in Revelation 13, which is the mark of the beast. But because you have the word mark in the English, most ignorant folks, beginning with Israelite camps out there, IUIC being the main one, they look at the word mark and they include the word mark, or they grab all the words mark in English and claim that they're all the same thing. But it's not. That's why we have to go back to the original language it was written in to understand what it means. So when you go here to Ezekiel 9:4 to the word mark there is tha and a wa, thawa. Now the word thawa is desire, mark as a sign of exemption from judgment. So Yahweh Shai, his blood is that exemption from judgment for us in these times, or this second Passover, sort of speak. And our minds being the door, and the upper and side posts being our mind, and that's where the blood of Yahweh Shai is. So that is the exemption from judgment that the Lord gives us if we are part of the elect. So Jeremiah 16:15, but the Lord liveth that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north, and from all the lands whither he had driven them, and I will bring them again into their land that I gave unto their fathers. And that hasn't happened yet. So here it is, 2018, and we are in the land of the north, here in North America. And this is where the great deliverance is going to be. And when Yahweh Shai comes with the chariots and those missiles are shot, this great devastation and destruction is going to be remembered, and it's going to overshadow the Passover and the great deliverance out of the land of Egypt over, what is it, 1500, let's see, 2000, about 3,500 years ago, give or take. So this is going to overshadow that, because remember, a day to the Lord is 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is one day. So this has been only like 3.5 days to the Lord from that time to this time. that's heavy right there in itself. All right, so pretty much the Passover is a commemoration of the deliverance the Lord gave us in the land of Egypt. The exemption from judgment and the deliverance out of the land of Egypt. We still keep it to this day until the Lord delivers us a second time from the second captivity, or this new Egypt, and then we'll keep this feast in the kingdom. Now we don't know for sure if we're going to still keep the other Passover or just as a memorial, because that is still a great deliverance. But this new Passover, for lack of better words, is going to overshadow the old Passover. Okay, so with that, I hope you brothers have been edified. If you have any questions, you can leave it on the comment board. As far as dates are concerned, we gave the camp heads in the different state camps, and I'm sure they pass it out to other camp heads in other state camps and other country camps that are in good standing, and those brothers will give the dates out, for these different high holy days as needed. All right, so with that, I hope you brothers have been edified. To the next time I say shalom.